Hello and welcome to another video, and welcome to Cairo Ramses station here in the middle of the Egyptian capital. Today I'm taking this wonderful tourist sleeper train behind me. We're heading down via Luxor to Aswan. It's going to be a great overnight trip. Come with me and enjoy the video. In today's video, we'll take Ernst Watania's overnight train in some rare communist-era East German deluxe sleeper cars. This is one incredible trip, and you'll see everything from the onboard meals, the club car and sleeping accommodations, and find out exactly what it's like to travel on this iconic train to some of Egypt's hottest tourist destinations. So join me for this long trip down the Nile from Cairo to Aswan in the south. Our trip is 889 kilometers by rail, and it'll take nearly 14 hours to complete the trip. Welcome aboard Egypt's best train. Tonight's journey starts with a rather chaotic taxi ride from my hotel and results in me being dropped away from the station because of the traffic. Ramses station can be reached by Metro too, but it was only a 10-minute drive, and I'm soon outside this rather grand building, which dates from 1892, although a station has been on this site incredibly since 1856. Egypt has a fine and storied railway history, and as well as an original Robert Stephenson steam locomotive, the first ever to be shipped to Africa, you'll also find a modern Talgo carriage in the forecourt, which seems to serve as some sort of mess room. You're best off buying your ticket online. I'll show you how later, but there is an Ernst Watania reservation office where you can try to find last-minute tickets. There's a small customer lounge, and the staff all speak English. You can also find timetables here. We'll be taking train 86 tonight. There's a cursory security check and bag scan to enter the station, but once inside you can find a cafe, which was showing some Premier League football. It's Liverpool against Man United, currently no score. I wonder how that game turned out. Look at this unbelievable train hall design. The train hall was renovated about 10 years ago and now sports one of the most unique designs I've ever seen. Well, as expected, it's very self-service here, and you do need a bit of initiative, but a helpful local has just told me that my train, mind the step, leaves from the very far platform here. On the platforms there are about half a dozen kiosks like these which sell drinks and snacks, and I really recommend using them to stock up on fluids. They're cheap and they are cash only. Train 84 arrives before mine and is identical, so here's a good look at what we'll be riding on. 15 cars long and hauled by a single modern ES30 ACI locomotive built by General Electric. At the front of the train is a generator car, which also carries armed guards. The sleeper cars themselves are ex-East German and from the 1980s, although they've all been refurbished since. They still retain much of their original charm.
Yes, car number one, number two.
Number two, thank you.
Yes, here. Yes, car number one. Car number two.
Two. Yes, bed number one. Thank you. Thank you. The whole station and boarding process seems chaotic, but it all works, and the staff are happy to point you in the right direction. As a single passenger, I have sole occupancy of my double berth sleeper tonight. There is no sharing with strangers on this train. Tell you what, I'm glad to be on this train. My goodness, it's very hot outside, and the one thing that you can't see or hear or feel when you're watching a YouTube video is just how good the aircon is in here. I'm really looking forward to spending the night on board now. Oh dear. We depart on time and slowly pull out of the station, ready to begin nearly 14 hours of travel down the River Nile. Our first landmark is the Mbaba Bridge, which is 99 years old and connects Cairo to Giza across the river. I was able to spot this bridge from the roof of my hotel, and British rail enthusiasts will definitely recognise these distinctive Class 66 locomotives in the depot just to the west of Ramses Station. Let's take a proper look at the Deluxe sleeper. Inside, you'll find reading lights for both upper and lower berths, a full-length mirror on the back of the door, and while the floor isn't ideal for storage, there is a big storage cubby in the roof space if you have big bags and good muscles. In truth, the sleeper is a bit grubby, but that is also to be expected given the general state of Egyptian railways. It's important to have realistic expectations, and if you travel with these and an open mind, I think you'll avoid being disappointed. Each sleeper includes a wash basin for basic hygiene, and while there are no en-suites on this train, a bathroom is located at the end of each sleeping car and looks like this. Be warned, however, this is the only plug socket in the entire cabin. The bedding is pretty substantial, which is a huge plus, and in my sleeper, only the top bunk is deployed, leaving the seats available to sit in. If you travel as a couple, you will have the attendant convert this to a bed after dinner, and here's what the berth looks like with the second bed deployed. There is a table which slots into a little hole in the wall for your dinner, although as you can see, it's not exactly the cleanest. Finally, there are air conditioning and announcement volume controls by the bed, and the door locks, but only from the inside. Each sleeper car also has an attendant who works out of an office in your car. We just stopped here in Giza for 5 minutes to pick more passengers up on our way down south, and while we're stopped, let me just give you a quick rundown on what I feel about this sleeper car. It's definitely seen better days. There are some pretty ragged edges on the upholstery, and a couple of things don't work quite as well as they should. There is only one charge point, as I just mentioned earlier. That's us setting off now, and yeah, these seats, I'm not sure if you can tell, but they are extremely upright and not especially comfortable. There is a club car on the train which I'll find a little bit later, but for now I'm going to stay put in my room because I think dinner is going to be served at some point after departure from Giza. Let's go. All right, here's dinner. Let's take a look, shall we? It is 8:23 p.m. and it's a pretty civilized time to be getting dinner. Just over half an hour since we left Cairo. That's efficient service by my book. Now, I've got no option not to enjoy this dinner tonight because I am starving. Let's check out what our mystery dinner is. Dinner is quite basic, but was tasty and filling enough. This is a beef dish, not spicy, and the rice was moist and buttery. All the meals are served to your room. I'd heard that there was no dessert course with dinner on this train, so you know those little kiosks on the platform I showed you earlier? Well, I actually stopped at one and I wanted a chocolate biscuit. The guy had Oreos and he also had these for half price. Oreos. I wonder what they're like. The whole route runs parallel to the River Nile, which is heavily built upon, so the views are peppered by brilliant green minarets, the silvery reflections of the water, and passing towns and cities.
Let's see if we can find a club or a lounge car or something. Bit of civilization, eh?
There is a lounge car. Here you can find a few snacks and non-alcoholic drinks on sale from the guy behind the bar. Those prices are very low. Tea is 37 pence and coffee about 50 pence. However, it is the only place on the train where it's allowed to smoke, and as I was recovering from a chest infection, I figured perhaps it was better I spent my time elsewhere. A quick reminder, it's free to subscribe. Hit that button to be notified of all my latest uploads, click the bell and leave me a like and comment below, and join over 250,000 other trip report enthusiasts just like you for regular train and plane reviews right here on the channel. Making the bed is easy, and yes, there is a guardrail to stop you falling out. The train doesn't go much above 60 miles per hour, so the ride is pretty good all things considered, not too bumpy.
And that's me done for the evening. It's just gone 11 p.m. I'm hoping to get a good night's sleep and be up by about 6 a.m. to catch us arriving into Luxor tomorrow morning. But until then, good night, and fingers crossed for a good night's sleep. Well, we've made good time, I'll give you that.
Luxor is a popular jumping off point for the famous Valley of the Kings, and about half of the train's passengers seem to alight here. I took a walk to the car ahead of us. This is, I think, the staff sleeper car, and I'm glad this bathroom isn't one of the ones normally used by passengers. There's no shower aboard, so I definitely recommend bringing some wet wipes to feel a bit more human before a full day in the Egyptian sun. The ride on the southern part of the trip is wonderful, and you get to see a whole cross-section of Egyptian life by the tracks. There's always something interesting going on out of the window on this trip, and I was surprised how scenic the trip was, given that it is very flat. Breakfast is served around 7:30 by the attendant. It's nothing special, and you will need to like bread, but it's better than nothing, and it comes with a choice of tea or coffee. The line to Aswan was completed as far back as 1898, having opened in stages, and the line's vintage can easily be determined from looking at the stations. This one at Edfu still retains a water tower for steam trains. The railway down the Nile in Egypt was built primarily by Egyptian labour, but under the auspices of differing occupying powers. Railways in Egypt started under the Ottoman Albanian viceroy Muhammad Ali, at a time when many foreigners arrived to cash in on the cotton boom, and continued when Britain established a protectorate, which lasted until their expulsion in 1952, and of course there's been modern Egyptian control of the railways for over 70 years since. The result, a quirky and eclectic mishmash of character. I'm in an East German communist sleeper car hauled by an American locomotive on a line built under Ottomans, Brits and Egyptians, and it tells its own story, and old-fashioned mechanical signalling is still the norm on the southern part of the route. Points and signals controlled by levers in a cabin. The line was originally built to support the irrigated Nile farmlands, and you'll still see crop wagons parked in sidings and still loaded by hand. It's just under 14 hours since we left Cairo last night, and we're on the slow approach into Aswan. Now, that's the end of the line for this train, and it's the end of the line for me. That's where I'm getting off. Thank you so much for coming with me, and let me know if you would take this train. Would you prefer this over the hour and a bit flight down here from Cairo? Tell me in the comments below. It's definitely a lot different than traveling by train in Europe, but I would absolutely do this again. So let's go through booking a ticket on this train. You'll want to head to the Ernst Watania site. Click Book Now and select your destinations and date as you would with any other ticketing site, and be sure you have your passport details to hand because you'll need that later. Make sure you select Bed, not Top VIP. However grand that sounds, that is in fact seated accommodation. Definitely click on Bed. For nationality, you'll want to click on Foreigner, which puts you with the English-speaking staff on the train, and click Foreigner again when it comes to seating type. A single cabin for one person is $120 and two sharing one cabin is $160 or $80 each. Ignore the English errors, just click Agree on the terms and conditions and you'll be prompted to make an account. You do need to do this, it's unavoidable, but it is an easy way to manage your bookings. If you're alone, click Single Cabin. Nobody can share with you. And make sure you pick your meal choice. For reference, mine was the meat meal if you fancy whatever it was I had. And finally, make sure you fill out a third box again confirming you are a foreigner. We're now on the final approach to Aswan.
Bye-bye. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And that's it. We've arrived in Aswan on time at 9:25 AM and with a full day ahead. I found this train absolutely fascinating to take and surprisingly comfortable given the mixed reviews of it that I've seen. I hope this has given you some inspiration to take the train, and I'm always happy to hear in the comments from people who've also taken it. Let me know your stories. And that's enough for me this time. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye for now.